Well, hundreds of thousands of Haitians in the United States face an uncertain future after the Trump administration ended the temporary protected status program that let them live and work legally following Haiti's 2010 earthquake. Many now fear deportation. DW's Misha Komodowski reports.
Nader Sterling is a second-generation Haitian-American bakery owner who, following a new Supreme Court ruling, stands to lose a large percentage of her employees.
40% of our backroom staff are TPS. We're going to have to wait and hear what needs to happen, whether we have to let these employees go. These are employees that's been with us for years.
Temporary protected status. It lets people from countries deemed unsafe live and work legally in the United States. Haitians received it after the 2010 earthquake. President Trump tried to end the program during his first and second terms, but lawsuits blocked those efforts. That is until last month, when the Supreme Court allowed his administration to move forward. Now the case is sent back to lower courts, where judges are still considering it, leaving hundreds of thousands of TPS holders uncertain whether they will lose their legal status.
They're very disheartened by the situation because it leaves them in limbo. And so those are the things that we're hearing, unfortunately.
Approximately 350,000 Haitians in the United States are losing temporary protected status after the Department of Homeland Security says it ended the designation. One of Nader Sterling's regular customers, Farah Leroux, is among them. She says she is terrified of going back.
When you have 350,000 people leaving the United States, go to Haiti, they will quickly become target for extortion, for kidnapping, for recruitment by the terrorist group, because they know these people are coming back, they have money, or they have family stay behind in the United States that could send money for them if anything happened to them.
DW asked the Department of Homeland Security for comment. The agency responded, "Temporary protected status is exactly that, temporary. For too long, TPS has been allowed to function as a de facto amnesty program, despite Congress never intending it to be permanent. What we would say now is it's closing time, which means you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. The good news is it's not too late to get a $2,600 check and a free flight home." Farah says she will try to find other legal ways to stay in the United States, but for now, she's afraid to leave her home for fear of being detained by ICE. That means no more visits to her favorite bakery, and for La Paix, it means losing another loyal customer at a time when the bakery itself could be forced to scale back or even hold operations because of staff shortages.
And joining me now is Julia Gelatt. She is Associate Director of the U.S. Immigration Policy Program at the Nonpartisan Migration Policy Institute. She leads its immigration data work and examines how policy affects families, workers, and the U.S. economy. Julia, it's good to have you with us. Who are the people affected by this change? Are most recent arrivals, or have many lived and worked in the United States for years?
I think it's really a mix. TPS has been available for Haitians since 2010 and for Syrians since after the outbreak of the civil war there. Some Haitians have been in the U.S. for decades, and many also entered over the last several years after the COVID-19 pandemic, when many people came to the United States. So it's really a mix of people with deeper roots and people with a more recent history, but who are living and working in the United States and joining our communities here. Mm-hmm.
The administration says that temporary protected status was always supposed to be temporary. After more than a decade, does it have a legitimate point?
It has been hard for presidential administrations to end TPS grants once they're established. There are other groups like Salvadorans who have had TPS for even longer. So I do think that these long uses of TPS may have stretched the original intent, but there was never really a plan that our Congress set up of what happens after people have been in the U.S. for a long time, are well integrated, and have been living on TPS. What comes next? Many don't have any other path to permanent residence in the United States, and so TPS continues because that's sort of the only option for those folks.
The U.S. Supreme Court has allowed the administration to end these protections, but the court did not rule that Haiti or Syria is safe. Is the administration presenting a legal victory as evidence that conditions in those two countries have improved?
The Trump administration has said that people can go back to Haiti and Syria, that many people are living there, but they have also said that temporary protected status is not in the U.S. national interest. They have put less weight on country conditions than other administrations have in thinking about ending TPS. And what the Supreme Court said was they have the discretion to do that. The executive branch has a lot of power in this arena to grant TPS and also take it away.
I know that the administration also says that ending TPS serves America's national interests. Does that mean that immigration enforcement is now outweighing humanitarian conditions in the Trump White House?
I think the Trump White House really is putting a lot less consideration on whether people deserve protection in the United States. We've seen this not just in terms of temporary protected status, but also narrower avenues to asylum for people who are coming across the border or living in the United States. And also we've seen a real contraction of refugee resettlement to the United States. We have many fewer refugees coming mainly from South Africa at this point.
Yeah, I think the situation in Haiti is rather clear. Syria is a different case. Bashar al-Assad is no longer in power. He's gone. Some Syrians have returned. I mean, is there now a reasonable argument for ending blanket protection when it comes to Syrians?
I do think for Syria, we're seeing other countries, European countries and countries around the world also reconsidering the protections that they had offered to Syrians. This is part of a bigger rethink. In the US, I don't know how much that really is part of the story or whether it's just that this administration doesn't think we should have temporary protected status for most groups. They've ended most grants of TPS. But I do think for Syrians, there is a different situation than for Haitians who are considering now going back to a country that's really overrun by gangs, where there isn't state capacity and where people coming from the United States may be particularly vulnerable.
You know, TPS never offered a direct path to permanent residence. Did the system, has it created this crisis by repeatedly extending temporary protection without providing a credible way forward?
I think what we're seeing is that the US Congress really hasn't been willing to take up immigration reform in decades. They created a policy that's temporary. They also put handcuffs on themselves to say that they needed to pass a higher bar to give permanent protections to TPS holders. So we're seeing that, our immigration system needs updating in so many ways. I think TPS holders running out of status is one symptom of that.
Julia Gelatt of the Migration Policy Institute. Julia, we appreciate your time and your insights tonight. Thank you.